Every few months, the internet will discover the same argument. Looks don't matter. Then somebody else says, actually, looks matter a lot. Then everybody starts fighting. I know we are supposed to say looks don't matter, yet somehow we spend hours choosing profile pictures, preparing for interview, choosing what to wear to important events, planning first date outfits. So clearly, something does matter, which is always interesting to me. And maybe it shouldn't matter as much as it does. Maybe not as much as we have collectively decided it does. But pretending doesn't matter at all doesn't seem honest either. Every time I watch those conversations here, I feel like both sides are missing something because looks doesn't matter as much as people think. But it matters far more than people are willing to admit. Now, I think this is where the real conversation lives. Because whether we like it or not, your appearance introduces you first before your personality gets a chance. I know people hate hearing that. It feels shallow, it feels unfair, it feels like the kind of thing we should have evolved past by now. But think about your own life for a second. Before you've spoken to somebody, before they've heard your ideas, before they've listened to your story, before they know if you're kind or if you're intelligent, smart, trustworthy, hardworking, before all of that, they've already seen you. Now, in that tiny moment, their brain starts filling in blanks. And not because they're evil or shallow, but because they're human. And you see, the uncomfortable part is people say they don't judge appearances, but they absolutely respond to them. There's a difference, a huge difference, because when most people hear looks don't matter, they instantly think we're talking about beauty. That is not what I'm talking about here today. I'm talking about presentation. I'm talking about signal. I'm talking about what your appearance communicates before you even open your mouth. Looks matter, and not because they're the most important thing about you. And no, because they're the first thing people experience about you. Because some of the most influential people I've ever seen, they weren't the most beautiful in the room, but they looked like they took themselves seriously, and somehow everybody followed suit. That's why I think one of the biggest lies social media tells us is that fashion is mostly about buying things, because it's not. The best fashion investment isn't a designer bag. It is becoming somebody who looks like she takes herself seriously. And I don't mean serious in a boring way. I mean looking like you believe your life matters, looking like you believe your presence matters, looking like you believe you are worth preparing for. Because just something I've been thinking about lately. A lot of women are waiting for a better life, a better job, more money, a different city, a different body, a better body, a different season of life before they start dressing better. And I understand why, because when life feels messy, getting dressed can feel insignificant. I mean, you're stressed and overwhelmed. Styling can feel ridiculous. You're trying to figure your life out, you're trying to put things together, you're barely surviving. Fashion can feel like the least important thing in the world. But what if we've been looking at it backwards? What if dressing better isn't the reward for getting your life together? What if it is one of the tools that helps you do it? See, I know a good outfit will not solve your problems. It won't pay your bills. It won't heal your heartbreak. It won't magically transform your life. But it does change something. It changes how you show up in your own life, how you show up inside your own life. And that is where things get interesting. Because I think the biggest return on fashion investments isn't compliments, isn't strangers asking you where you got an outfit from, isn't Instagram likes. I think the biggest return on fashion investment is how differently you move through the world, how you carry yourself, how you advocate for yourself, how you enter rooms, how you believe that you truly deserve to occupy space. And yeah, before you say, well, confidence should come from within, of course it should. But let's be honest, human beings, we are not floating yet. We are physical creatures. How we dress absolutely affects how we feel. How we feel in turn affects how we behave. And how we behave, trust me, affects the opportunities we create. Which brings me to another uncomfortable thought here. The way you present yourself determines the opportunities you never know you missed. And that's the hardest part because you never see them. You never see the person that decided not to approach you. You never hear about the rooms where your name wasn't mentioned. You never hear about the opportunities that quietly pass you by. People think opportunities arrive through qualification, but opportunity often arrives through perception first, then qualification second. And I know it's not always fair, but pretending that it doesn't happen doesn't stop it from happening. See, the world responds to signal, and maybe that is why I have stopped seeing fashion as vanity. Vanity is obsession, but fashion at its best, it's communication. It communicates, it says, this is who I am, this is how I choose to show up, this is how I value myself, this is how I intend to move through the world. So, if that's true, if fashion is really about communication, if appearance is really about signals, then the question should be what are the fashion investments actually worth making? And you notice I didn't say purchases because that's another thing I think we've gotten wrong. We've confused spending with investing. They are not the same thing. An investment gives something back, a return. A purchase just takes away money. Those are very different things. Now, the first investment worth making isn't buying more clothes, it's self awareness. Yeah, and I think the most valuable things a woman can actually do for herself is to sit down and ask, who am I actually dressing for? Not theoretically, not emotionally, practically. What life do I actually live? What rooms do I actually enter? What version of me feels most natural, feels most powerful, most honest? Because your personal style isn't about finding more clothes, it's finding clarity because clarity compounds every year, every outfit, every decision. The second fashion best thing worth investing in is fit. I've seen a lot of people try to solve a fit problem with a shopping problem, and it never just works. And then I've also seen women who naturally just transform their appearance without even changing their wardrobe by just understanding fully what works on them, because confidence grows differently when you are no longer negotiating with your outfits all day. You are no longer adjusting, tugging at something, fixing, pulling, second guessing. That's so exhausting. And most people don't realize how much mental energy you spend fighting with your outfits all day. Now, the third best fashion thing worth investing in, trust me, it's probably the least glamorous: consistency. Yes, not excitement, consistency. Because see, a lot of people love transformation, but not everybody loves repetition. A lot of people, nobody loves repetition. But you see, repetition is where style lives. Because in a world obsessed with becoming someone new every week, there's something so powerful about just becoming more of yourself. Now, this takes us to grooming. This part, some people don't pay attention to it as much as they should. And a lot of people think grooming is, or some people think grooming is less fun than shopping. But let's be honest, people think fashion is doing more work than it actually is. Sometimes it's the clothes. A lot of times it's the details: hair, shoes, fabric condition, garment care, posture, presence. The things nobody notices individually, but everybody notices collectively. It's like meeting somebody whose house smells clean. You don't walk in and say, "Oh, I see what happened here." You just feel it. The same thing happens with presentation. You may not be able to identify the details, but you experience the results. And finally, the biggest investments of all, learning to show up before life becomes perfect. Because I think this is the part where most women quietly get stuck. They tell themselves, when I lose the weight, when I get the job, when I make money, when I make more money, when things settle down, when life gets easier, or when things get easy, then I will start caring. Then I'll start showing up. Then I'll start dressing better. Then I'll start becoming her. But you see, what I've noticed is the woman you are trying to become is usually built in the seasons when nothing is perfect, not after, during, while you're struggling, while you're still trying to figure it out. That is when the identity is formed, not at the finish line. When a lot of people hear looks matter, they instantly assume that the conversation is about beauty, but I don't think so. I think the conversation is about participation. It's about whether you've decided if your life is happening now or you are postponing it for later. Because see, your appearance isn't introducing a future version of you, it is introducing the version of you that is right here, right now, this day, this season, this time, this life. So no, looks aren't everything. They never will be. And no, because character matters. Substance matters. Kindness, honesty, competence. These things, integrity, these things matter. But pretending that appearance, looks doesn't matter at all, honey, that's just another way of avoiding reality. People respond to what they see. You respond to what you see. I respond to what I see. Everybody does. We all do. And as your internet intentional sister, allow me to say this to you. See, the goal isn't to look beautiful enough to deserve opportunities. The goal isn't to look beautiful enough to attract compliments from strangers or impress strangers. The goal is alignment. That the woman you know yourself to be internally finally looks like she belongs or deserves or matches the person she is externally. And maybe that's a real fashion investment worth making, not looking more richer or more trendier, but looking more like yourself on purpose.